Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Australia must avoid entrenching a US-style working poor. May 12, 2022, 5.00 am. Save login, register or subscribe to save articles for later. Normal text size, larger text size, very large text size. Australia deregulated and opened its economy at the end of the 20th century, but unlike the United States, we have avoided the formation of an underclass of working poor. People who work but struggle to pay the rent and feed their families. But Australia is now heading in that direction with big cuts to the living standards of low-income earners driven by surging costs of living. Low-income earners face big cuts to living standards driven by surging costs of living. Credit, Dominic Lorimer. A central tenet of the modern Australian economy is that those on low incomes have participated in the rising prosperity that economic reforms have delivered. This is consistent with that very Australian sense of egalitarianism, but more importantly, it is a foundation stone of a strong and stable domestic economy. Low and middle-income households provide a baseload of demand that generates labor-intensive domestic economic activity. From food and grocery to entertainment and tourism, a boost to wages for those at the bottom of the scale quickly finds itself back into the economy. A 5% lift in the minimum wage in 2022 is about a one-off reset to the wage level to counter real wage destruction. It is not a new norm. Over the years ahead, wage growth will be determined by the ABA meeting its inflation target of 2.5% plus productivity growth. Hopefully that means that wages growth of 3.5% to 4% a year becomes the new normal. The main economic policy objectives should be for the ABA to achieve its inflation target while at the same time lifting productivity growth as much as possible. This is what will make ongoing 3% to 4% wage increases sustainable. A once-off outsized increase in the minimum wage in 2022 is an important ingredient in achieving both these objectives over the next 3 years. The only way to ensure that inflation in Australia is brought under control is to return monetary policy to a neutral setting as quickly as possible. This means raising the cash rate by at least another 2% over the next 2 years. Supporting household incomes through a period of rising interest rates is our best chance of keeping the economy on an even keel. Credit, iStock. Supporting household incomes through a period of rising interest rates is our best chance of keeping the economy on an even keel. Raising the minimum wage may seem counterintuitive if inflation control is the ultimate objective. But supporting household incomes while raising interest rates gives us our best chance of getting monetary policy settings right for the long term. Maintaining a strong baseload demand in the economy through maintaining the real wages of low and middle-income households will alleviate the risk of a widespread fall in consumer spending as interest rates rise. Higher wages will also send a powerful signal to business to invest in labor savings technologies and ultimately boost productivity growth. Rising labor costs are not going away anytime soon. Credit, Tamara Vaninsky. Rising labor costs are not going away anytime soon. The upward pressure on inflation from pandemic-related supply chain disruptions and fiscal stimulus will pass in time, but businesses will be grappling with rising labor costs for years to come. We are now in a new demographic cycle of rising dependency. Worker scarcity is the new normal, not just pandemic-related. Organisations right across Australia will have to confront this reality whether they like it or not. Government policy should not be resisting these underlying forces that are putting upward pressure on wages. Policy needs to be directed to supporting organisations, most importantly small businesses, to mitigate these rising costs. Increasing the flexibility of the labour market, reducing compliance burdens and even cutting small business tax rates are much more effective ways of supporting businesses than cutting real wages. For those wages come back as business revenues. Employers must be encouraged to invest in new plant and equipment, digital capacity and software development as well as the skills and training of staff. Business must make the most out of every hour of labour input they employ. It is this productivity that will underpin a sustained increase in real wages once again. A one-off 5% lift in wages will not have an adverse impact on economy-wide unemployment. The labor market is white-hot and more than likely running beyond its capacity. What better time to reset real wages than when the unemployment rate is near 50-year lows? Market-determined wages are clearly rising in 2022. Labor shortages are ubiquitous and high inflation is driving wage claims towards 5% for many workers on incomes well